Hi everyone, welcome. This is our fifth online matchmaker through CityLAB. My name is Patrick Byrne. I'm the project manager. Today we have a really topical challenge called Connecting Families with Loved Ones in Long-Term Care. And we have with us Jenn Hohol and Holly Edwardi from the city, who are going to tell us about their challenge today, and we're going to learn a little bit more about it. I think we've all been affected in lots of ways throughout the pandemic and connected either through our own close family members or through people that we know who are in long-term care facilities, and the struggles in our own lives around making meaningful connections with our loved ones, and those challenges being amplified, 100-fold with the challenges with the long-term care facilities. So really happy to see that this challenge is coming through, and hopefully that we can find some good faculty and student support to make sure that we can make a difference in this really important and timely challenge. So thank you for submitting, Jenn and Holly. And we'd just like to give you a chance to introduce yourself. So let's start with Jenn. Can you tell us about your role, Jenn, at the city? And it's a two-piece. People often skip the second piece. First piece is what do you do? And then brag a little bit and tell us why it's important.
Okay, thanks Patrick, and thanks for having us, and everyone, thank you for joining. My name is Jenn Hohol. I'm a senior project manager in the general manager's office in the Healthy and Safe Communities department. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the department, we're actually quite a large department. So we have fire, paramedics, we have public health, childcare, Ontario Works, housing, recreation, and of course we have the lodges in our portfolio as well, and that's what we're here to speak about today. So my role in the city as a senior project manager is really to support our department in any large-scale projects that come up, often focused around strategic planning, but as well as continuous improvement, which I really think this is an opportunity that we have today here. And to speak to your second part of your question about why it's important, and I think it is that role about continuous improvement and really challenging our department and our staff to continue to think about ways to do things better, and to challenge ourselves every day to improve the services we deliver to the community. So I think that's why I really enjoy my role, and why I think it has some importance in our community.
Definitely. Thank you, Jenn. I think that's so important, right? How do we make these structures and systems that we live in sort of always getting better, because they can stay flatlined, right? Without that effort. Thank you. Holly, can you introduce yourself and tell us why what you do is important?
Thank you, Patrick. So I am the Senior Administrator for both Macassa and Wentworth Lodges at the City of Hamilton. And very excited to be having this conversation with you today. And once again, just a big thanks to Jenn for this fantastic submission and synopsis, really, of what it is that we would like to achieve. So this is a prime example of the need for an internal website specific to our long-term care homes to be able to immediately connect with families. And we know that many people now are on their phones and on their iPads, and even our residents are participating in looking at information like that regularly. And so we're sort of a little bit, we feel, behind the times in communicating with our families in a different way, just as Jenn had mentioned previously. And so when we take a look around our long-term care community in the Hamilton area and across Ontario, more and more homes are coming up with these websites to be able to be interactive with our family members, so that they are able to feel much more connected with their loved ones in long-term care. We also know that we have family members who do not live in Ontario, that do not live in Canada, and live worldwide, live across the world, that had to place their loved ones in a long-term care and were not able to go to the long-term care to do a visit. And so their visits were based on conversations or by word of mouth. And it would have been super fantastic for them to be able to have seen a virtual tour as an example of our home prior to their loved one being admitted to Macassa or Wentworth Lodges. And so that's something that is happening more frequently in terms of long-term care homes and what they have available for pending admissions, and then a whole element of available resources for residents who live in the home. We have lots of family members that want to know what's going on in the home during the course of the day or the evening, so that when they are able to come back to visit, because right now that's not happening, although today is day one of visiting outside, hooray, and we're pretty excited about that. And so I keep turning my back over here because we have 5 stations set up, and it's going to be a very emotional day bringing, I'll start crying just thinking about it, bringing our residents and families together. But anyway, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's making that all the more apparent, right? When folks have a chance to, when you're sort of seeing some of those reunions happening in person outside, and underscoring the need for those connections to be happening in whatever ways they can.
Thank you for helping me take a breath there, Patrick.
No problem.
So, you know, this initiative is so important on so many elements of being able to, you know, there's lots of negative information out there about long-term care, and things do happen, and that happens with police, it happens in schools, it happens in hospitals. But right now, there's a big focus in the media with that military report about the negative happenings in long-term care. And I think that our homes strive, we have a high threshold of respect and care for our residents. And do we make mistakes? Yes, our staff, and we're all human and we make mistakes. But I would say, based on our resident satisfaction survey of 98% of residents who call Macassa and Wentworth Lodges home feel safe and they feel respected in our homes. And this is just another element of transparency and connecting our residents with their family members, our staff with the residents' families, to continue to be able to have them feel part of the home, which is so important. So there's so many different elements about, you know, being able to share what their what the menu is of the day that may seem simplistic to you, but it's important for family members to know, oh my goodness, that is her favorite meal. She is going to have a great day. She loves pasta, or she loves roast beef, or whatever it might be. Other things, activity, looking at the activity calendar to know, oh, tea at 2, I know mom or dad is going to go at that. I'm going to do my visit at 7 p.m. And, you know, if we have a staff member call in sick or something happens, we would be able to update that calendar in the moment. So a family member is aware, oh, they've had a change, and they could look at it in a timely fashion rather than coming in and finding out, oh, mom went to tea at 7 rather than tea at 2 because there was something that happened in the home. And so, you know, that timely information, you know, to book a tour, you have to make a call, wait for a call back. Wouldn't it be great for many families who are using the internet to log on to see, oh, I see at 2 o'clock I can book in a tour to go to Macassa or Wentworth Lodge, and to be able to streamline that process and make it more user-friendly for people who have very busy lives. A photo gallery of events that happen here, obviously with permission with our residents, we have that on admission, but being able to capture and see the joy that happens in our homes. Like, that is so key. There's so many fantastic things that happen. We've had our city manager, Chris Murray, come to Macassa and Wentworth Lodges to do a day in the life of. And wouldn't it be fantastic to post that video for families to be able to see, and for families that are looking at a home to go into to really understand and appreciate the work and care and effort that happens in our homes. It's so instrumental on so many different levels.
Yeah, and I see you've laid out a range, right, of the communication needs that are multifaceted and not, are about getting people better access to their loved ones, but also about the way that the facility itself is run and about how the work is communicated. So I see it sort of different, those different elements coming together as well for this. Can you tell us, Holly or Jen, if what I imagine that folks are a lot of this communication work is done through the phone right now. Is that the case?
Correct. So all of the communication. So, since the middle of March, when we were told by the ministry no visiting, 430 calls went out that day. When we have had different issues throughout the course of the past 3 months, it's always calls going out, 430 calls each time. And so that takes up a lot of staffing resources. And so right now, with being tight with human resources, this would be another opportunity to know which family members regularly would be checking this and they would not want to call. We would know who those family members are. And we do know that we do have some loved ones that do not have access to a computer, nor do they have a cell phone. And so we would continue to reach out to those loved ones to ensure communication was received in a timely fashion.
Right, and there's multiple ways of making sure that people get the information. Giving people more options to get that in the best way for them is really important for sure.
If I can just add to that, and so, for example, if we have a loved one who has a spouse who may be a little bit older and may not be relaying all of the information to the kids, this is a great way for all family members to stay involved and not having to rely on contact number one, right? That's a big thing, because lots of residents have 2, 3, 4 contacts, but we certainly do not have the ability to be calling 12 to 1,600 people. And so our process is we call contact number one, and it's incumbent upon contact number one to share this information with their family. But in times like this of crisis, and we have many families who are frontline workers, either health, police, fire, sharing the information is not timely, but this website would be something that they would be able to easily access to find out how their grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle, whomever it may be, what's going on at those 2 homes that they could be doing as a support. We often have families saying, you know what, how do we profile for giving donations? Is there a link that we could just, and so there's just so many things when we think about what the website could offer of things that we hear through our family council. And so our family council over the past 18 months have been asking about a website. And so the city one, we weren't able to give them access to that. And so here we would be able to have a relationship, and our family council are so key to us. They help to drive so many things in a positive fashion with new family members coming to us and new residents. And it's definitely advantageous to be working together as times are very difficult right now. And I think that as best as we can, and Antonella, if you want to speak to anything about, we've been trying to post information for family members on the city website, but sometimes that can take up 2 to 3 days, depend on what else is a priority. And if we were to have our own website, we would still use our city team members to vet things through for particular items. And then we would be able to share it immediately and do that email blast and have it connected to there. So there's just so many different things. It's so exciting that we're actually having this conversation. And I'm so appreciative. I'm reading Karen, Abigail, Cynthia, your interest in helping to move this forward is so fantastic. It's overwhelming.
To the second part of the challenge, and maybe to Jen, you know, we've explored like a lot of the different sort of needs, and there's this, you know, feels like there's there's a movement towards a website and a better communication tool for all these different pieces. Jen, could you tell us a little bit about how you outline in the challenge what your sort of initial ideas for student involvement were?
Yeah, so I think Holly touched on a lot of them in the sense that I think we would love to have students take a look and do some primary research or investigation. Holly mentioned the Family Advisory Committee. Understanding what their needs are or what they're hearing from their residents, potentially reaching out to residents and families to understand what information they're looking for and what type of channels they're using to find information or what's available to them. Are they on their phones, their computers, their iPads, that sort of thing. So I think there's some opportunity around there. I also think there's some opportunity as well in some secondary research. So I think Cynthia mentioned her students are familiar with doing some lit reviews, but what has been used, what's out there, what technology exists, even potentially looking at what exists and has been successful in this population, working with seniors. So that was some secondary research would be interesting. And I think we'd like to land at a place where we're able to have some sort of a recommendation on how to move forward that comes out of all this student work and effort that's put in.
Yeah, and the way you'd phrase it too is that there could very easily be sort of multiple phases around scoping and consultations, and it sounds like there's a fantastic partnership already with the Family Council that can help direct some of this work and make sure that it's relevant. And then there can be other pieces that flow out of that or get tested as ideas come and that it gets built on it and going forward.